So now we're actually in the semifinals of the top of the Lefty Tournament using Ryoma here. We're facing off against Saki, who is a member of that team, whose name I always forget and don't really care too much for. Something Chu. Something Rukudu? Who gives a shit? He's not really that relevant of a character if I remember well. I believe he's a doubles player. I remember I really liked him when I got this game because he had white hair. Or at least he does in like sort of his portrait, so I thought he'd be pretty cool. Or maybe it was an anime when I saw him. I thought he'd be pretty cool. He doesn't really do all that much, quite honestly. I believe I've either unlocked him or I'm going to be unlocking him soon. He's just such a forgettable character, unfortunately. Like many of these characters are, just because they don't really, if they don't really have a sort of silly gimmick that I can remember. They don't have some sort of dumb thing that they do, like, hiss every so often or something dumb like that. Or if they don't win a lot of matches, you don't really tend to want to remember them. Like, they don't really have anything to offer, which is a bit unfortunate. Which is why, I don't know, making sports series is kind of hard just because you gotta make so many different characters. Like, I don't understand how, like, most series get away with doing like bigger team sports like football or basketball or just team sports in general, or like soccer, because there's like a billion characters you gotta make. Like if you want to do one arc where it's a team versus another team, there's at least 11 characters on the field, so that's 22 characters you gotta draw and name and hopefully try and give some sort of character to. But then there's also the coaches, the subs, which often aren't really that prevalent, but there's the coaches, there's the subs, there's other players from other teams that they always have to have watch the game. It's just, I don't know, soccer series are just really difficult for me to get into. And then there's like, for example, I like for example the model that ouji-21 did. They only had the one team that played offense and defense. Otherwise, they would have had to have 22 players per team, and it would have been, you had a game, it would be fucking 44 players involved in that one game alone, without, the coaches and, announcers, which they have nowadays for whatever reason in most series. So that's just a lot of, like, characters to try and animate. By animate, I don't mean, like, for a TV series. I'm mixing that up with sort of like giving them life. Giving them, you have to draw them out, you have to come up with what they're gonna look like, you have to actually create them, give them the kind of character, all that stuff is really a lot. That's why Princess Tennis would have been a lot more simpler, because the teams aren't that big. But unfortunately, when you do sort of team play, you have your first, second, and third singles, so that's 3 people there, and then you got your first doubles and your second double. That's usually how it is. Some teams have a 4th single and a third doubles, which is way too fucking much in my opinion. That's really unnecessary, but we'll stick with that basic format. So that alone there is 7 people that you gotta have, so then the other team also has 7 people, but at the very least everyone plays one at a time, so there's only 2 people on the court. Unless there's doubles, then there's 4 people on the court. But that's not really that big of a number compared to, basketball when there's 10 people on the court, or football when there's 22 people on the field, or, soccer or football where there's, again, 22 people on the field at all time, where you gotta kind of manage that. I can only imagine how much of a headache that must be. Basketball is a little bit simpler, but, one of the main problems with, I feel, would be with a basketball sort of series is just that there's a lot of subs, because you can constantly switch out in basketball, so the sort of bench is pretty important as well, so you might as well have 10 players per team at that point. So then, yeah, that's a bit much. I don't know. That's probably why I really like baby steps, because it's really easy to follow, because it's only just the one character playing singles, and it's just him by himself. He's not part of a team or anything like that. It's just him competing against other players in tournaments. that's really cool. You know, you get a lot of sort of space to develop everyone over time. Everyone kind of stands out. You can kind of remember them. You know, some of them. Well, that's the other thing. That's my main issue with Baby Steps. Actually, is like, you know, they have a lot of characters and develop them pretty well, but I don't think their playstyles necessarily match their characters all that well. Like, there's this one character, I don't remember his name. He's not really that big of a character, but his main thing is that he wants to be an artist like his family. So they force him to play tennis, and instead of him actually being able to do his art on, like, you know, a canvas or a drawing or whatever, he instead supposedly paints out pictures while playing tennis. So while he's playing, he'll specifically hit a lob or a drop at like certain times, so that the sort of strokes of the, or not so much the strokes, the path the ball makes supposedly draws an image. I find that to be so stupid and asinine, especially since he was one of the top players given when he was introduced. He was like the third player, like the second best player, something like that. He was way up there. I was just like, what is this fucking nonsense? So I found that to be really, you know, silly. There are a lot of other characters that it's a little bit more, you know, relaxed. Like, they do have their sports gimmicks, like, you know, that one's a really sports gimmicky thing, which I don't mind sport gimmicky things. Like, each character has their own, like, you know, special ability or their own special move, because it, you know, distinguishes them. And, you know, I find that really cool, and I like to think every time I see a new character, I was like, oh, I wonder what their, you know, unique thing is, and, you know, etc. I just really like individuality, but more than anything, I love individuality that's acted upon. You know, I love individuality being embraced. I really love that, which is why I really like that kind of stuff. That's probably why I really like sports anime a lot, because, you know, they tend to have that kind of like special move kind of thing. Everyone has their own specific role and whatnot. Even though that's also true in like other like fighting series as well, which is why I also enjoy those, but it's a little bit more, it's kind of a little bit more centered when it comes to the sports series, I believe so. Just because in the fighting series, there's like a whole bunch of other things going on, whereas in the sports series, the main core is them playing the sport, so the special move is a lot more important than it is in like a fighting series. I don't know. Either way, yeah, that's one of the main caveats obviously I have against this series as well, is that they go way too deep on the other end. You know, Baby Step doesn't go far enough, whereas Prince of Tennis goes way too far, with them having, you know, players split tennis balls in half and then playing with halves of a tennis ball, smacking it back and forth. That, I thought, among other things, is, you know, way too much. But nonetheless, there's not really anything I can do about that. Maybe someday I'll find the perfect series that's a nice little balance in between. But I mean, either way, I really enjoy Baby Steps. Prince of Tennis, not so much, because they do a lot of stupid things that I highly disagree with, and it finds me difficult for me to enjoy it, but or rather I should say continue to enjoy it now in the new series. But I do really like Baby Steps. The only issue is that, you know, the site that I'm reading it from, it's taking their sweet ass time to translate it, so I'm like 100 chapters behind the actual release, which really sucks. And it's not serialized here in America, because the only way that I can read it is by fan dubs. You know, those are the only ways that I'm going to be able to read this fucking series. But unfortunately, I have to wait, which I don't know, I get it. I'm not saying I'm impatient, like hurry the fuck up or anything. I get it, that takes time. Especially since you're not doing that for like any profit or anything like that. I get that. But, you know, it still sucks. Just because I understand something and I, you know, get where it's coming from doesn't mean that it doesn't suck. So, anyways, we're here finishing off against Psyche here. That was a pretty good rally just there. I almost missed that shot, but I managed to get it, and then hit a nice little winner after that, so that was good. He's hitting pretty well. I mean, he probably would have been an extremely tough character to play against if he actually had some sort of thing to help him out, but he doesn't really have any sort of special or, quite frankly, anything to do anything with. I believe he has like like maybe one special, and he has a couple of other like double specific specials, which is probably why he's really not that you know, worthwhile, is just because all his specials are doubles related. And this is obviously a single tournament, but apparently he's a left-handed player, so he had to be in this tournament. I really don't think there's only like maybe 5 left-handed players in this entire game, maybe 6. So obviously there's all the guys that we're playing against now, and then there's gonna be the next guy later on who we're playing off against. But yeah, you can see I pretty much dominated the entire match. This is how the Dan match should have gone, but it didn't, for whatever damn reason. Stay fresh. さあ、始めるぞ。